What up, ladies and gentlemen? You guys are tuned in to the Madden Underground podcast. It's your boy Brian James, and I'm back with my guys, Philly Guy and B Guard. What's good, fellas?
What's up?
Going on?
Did you really just do Wakanda forever?
I really just did. I really just did.
Okay.
I'm in the holiday spirit. I'm in the holiday spirit.
Okay. We got Thanksgiving tomorrow, and
That's you're in the holiday spirit, and you just put up a fucking sign from one of the saddest movies I've seen this year.
yeah, that movie was quite depressing. It was a good movie, but nonetheless, it was extremely sad.
Okay.
Like that's the holiday spirits you're in. What's got you going, Philly?
I mean, look. I'm not even going to lie. You already know. We were talking about it off air. We were talking about, Zach Wilson and his shenanigans, and like I said, it's a lot to digest. So
then you should be celebrating because he's been benched. You should be more in a a Black Panther 1, happy ending, everything's all good.
Well, but you see, we don't really live in that world. So I'm just saying, I'm excited about getting a whole bunch of macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
Yes, Zach Wilson is being benched, and there's just a lot to look forward to. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna hate on a young man. I'm not.
Okay.
I would. If that were my quarterback, I would.
We had a great week of football.
Yes.
My Titans, they did their thing. I was impressed with them. Very pleased. Eagles, they showed out in Indianapolis. The Jets.
Yeah, pulled it off.
They played great defense. The Jets played great defense.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, they played immaculate defense.
Yeah.
And the special teams and offense just couldn't get it done.
Well, there was a block in the back that wasn't called, but that's neither here nor there. Garrett Wilson said what needed to be said, and that to me is far more important.
Wait. What did he say?
Unlike B-Guard, I don't use profane words on the air. However,
he said it was horse manure.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, horse manure.
Coach called it
iced tea. It was unacceptable. And he kind of went in. Elijah Moore posted a picture of him throwing the football. You know what I'm saying, in the Jets uniform. Rex Ryan came out. Keyshawn Johnson, was talking. Stephen A. Smith was talking. But I said this 2 years ago, and I'm over it. So,
yeah. Okay, now with the way that Justin Fields is playing right now, do you think that they made the wrong pick?
I believe I told y'all I wanted Justin Fields.
Yeah, they definitely.
I believe I said that. I said that multiple times.
Right.
I wanted Justin Fields, and look at what he's doing.
Let's be fair. None of these QBs have looked like they're lighting the world on fire. Justin Fields might be the one who looks the best out of all of them right now.
Yeah.
Which isn't exactly a high bar. Trevor Lawrence is struggling. Zach Wilson's probably done in New York. Trey Lance, still a huge question mark. And then Mac Jones has taken a real step back this year too. Justin Fields is the only one who I think has made significant progress, and a lot of that has to do with his coaches knowing how to use him. Because his rookie year, he's still in the pocket, not using his legs. This year, you see what a difference a coach who gets it makes.
Yeah, well, if you put him on those New York Jets
with those weapons and that defense,
with those weapons,
yeah, but they could. Sure, but they could also screw him up too.
Yeah, that's true.
Different situations. I feel like he'd be fine, especially what you said. There's talent around Zach Wilson. Talent is not the issue. I don't believe coaching is the issue. It's not like dudes are not running wide open and he's just not seeing them. He's just missing guys who are wide open. I think we had this discussion. Sometimes the coaching is to blame. I think this is Zach Wilson. I think this is just a quarterback issue.
Well, you and I have talked about this, and I'm really glad for once we actually get to talk about all of our franchises having winning records at this point. You know what I mean? So we're not wasting time talking about organizations under 500. But I still feel that they went after Zach Wilson. They knew that he was their guy. At least that's what they claimed. And for him not to look good, I'm still putting a lot of that on the coaching staff because I feel like you either have to admit that you were wrong or you better figure out how to get the balls in the hands of your playmakers. And so I haven't seen them admit that they were wrong yet. So I'm still putting the onus on them to make him look good until they're able to confess and admit that they made a mistake.
Counterpoint, I don't believe that they were wrong in taking him because the talent's there. Like, the ceiling was really high on Zach Wilson. Problem is the floor is also very low, and we're seeing the floor. That, like, we haven't seen improvement at all this year. And I think his play is the second most damning thing that happened to him this weekend. That press conference was a disaster. Like, it's one thing about being bad, but when you're bad and you don't take accountability, I'm out on you. Like, that's like you saw it. Like all the reports, all the Jets players were furious with the attitude he took. Like, he didn't do nothing wrong. And I don't know a lot about the NFL, but if we get Thomas Graham on here, like, I'm pretty sure accountability is going to be high on all these different players, like these agendas. Like, you need to own up to your shortcomings in the league because, again, like, that defense played out of its mind.
Yeah, I mean, to your point though, I don't think you have to be in the NFL to be held accountable or take responsibility. I mean, what we saw was a clear indication of his privilege, his immaturity, his entitlement, and I don't know. And I know I talked about it 2 years ago when I said the same things, and I said, my concerns were what he showed at the press conference. He eventually, just couldn't hide behind anybody anymore. But to me, that's part of that it factor. When you talk about how you have to play better, you have to do better, even though people are like, oh man, nah, man, like you're doing everything. You're like, no, you know what I mean? Like, I have to do better. I have to do better so that we can win. And that translates not just in press conferences, but even on the field. I talked to you guys about what I didn't see from Sam Darnold, what I don't see from certain quarterbacks. They don't have those relationships that you need to have. This is a team sport, okay? And one of my biggest complaints in any team that I'm watching is their lack of effort. If I don't see that you're willing to dive on the floor for loose balls, if I don't see that you're willing to make that block or come up and make that tackle or make that hit, like if I see you just kind of whiff, you try to two-hand tag it, like you're playing TV tag, that to me does not show that you're capable of winning. And I'm not saying that you go out there when you're hurt and you can't give 100%. I'm talking about when you're out on the field, okay? You are giving everything that you had. You are leading by example, okay? And in the quarterback position, regardless of your color, regardless of any other circumstance, okay? You were supposed to be leading by example. And that's one of the things that I don't see from him, haven't seen from him. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know this for certain, but I'm pretty sure that the team is the one that voted for Mike White as opposed to Flacco to be the starting quarterback against the Chicago Bears. I'm pretty sure that was a team decision as opposed to just the coaching decision.
Neither one of those guys could be much worse than what I saw, especially in that second half against New England, where they averaged, I think it was 2.7 inches per play, not yards, inches.
Hey, look, all I know is they had negative what?
There's not much worse. You can't do much worse.
Negative 21 yards passing. I mean, they said they said it best, right? I mean, you could get me the ball. I could have took a knee.
We could, all of us could have done that. All of us could have done that.
Just took a knee, and I still would have had more passing yards. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, again, it just goes back to what we talked about with your Eagles. And I said that I felt that your quarterback was one of those quarterbacks that had the it factor that he was going to go out there and give everything he had. Brian James has talked about it from his Tennessee Titans when he talked about the lack of accountability that we saw from Tannehill in the playoffs, right? And so you have to have somebody that is accountable, and I don't care what position they're playing. And let's face it, the Jets defense is the only accountable part of the football team right now. And I just don't know how long they can keep it up. But they've been playing lights out. So
yeah, maybe we should have seen this coming when Elijah Moore just couldn't stop staying out of the news about not getting the ball. Like maybe we should have seen that coming. Somebody as talented as Elijah Moore just not getting the ball we should have thrown red flags on that. Yeah. But I mean, I think they've gotten it figured out. Maybe Zach Wilson bounces back. I doubt it, but I think you're going to be looking for a veteran quarterback in the offseason.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Definitely. In other news, outside of Zach Wilson and his poor play, we got Snipes in the building.
What's good?
It was good, Snipes.
I mean, is that a segue? You know what I'm saying? The crosstown rival Giants. You know, they're still above 500.
Man.
For now.
Now I want to talk about those Bills. Those Bills, they're, you know, they it's been a slippery slope with those guys lately. Allen looking like he's taking a step back when a lot of people were expecting him to take a lot of more steps forward. You know, so is he reverting back to his old ways?
Nah, he ain't reverting back to his old ways just yet. I mean, I'll tell you what, the game that they had last week, that was probably the most, you know what I mean? That was probably the most, that was probably to them, even though it ain't a perfect game, for this particular season, that particular game might have been the most, you know, even keel game when it came down to passing, running, and everything else. You know what I mean? They looked like a solid Bills team last week. But again, Josh Allen, he's been making some bonehead decisions these past few weeks as well, too. He's not been looking the best, but is not the same as he was. You know, he's not going back to the old ways. I don't feel that way at all. I don't think he's going back to his old ways.
So I don't know if it's him reverting back to his old ways. I just think this is kind of who he is. Like, he will throw you one in about every game you play in. He will throw you one pass where you look at him like, what were you looking at there? But he's so talented, and this is why I had a little cause for pause with the Bills. I think I've said it like a month ago. He is everything to them, where he is the passing game, which with the quarterback you expect. He's also the entire running game. When there was a crazy stat, like he accounted for 23 of the Bills' 25 touchdowns. That to me is alarming. Like where you're getting absolutely nothing from your running game.
Yeah.
And that's going to come to bite you in the playoffs, especially when you play in Buffalo and it gets cold.
Exactly.
And they're probably not going to get, I don't think they're going to get the number one seed at all this year. So that might play into their benefit in a way, I guess. I don't like.
But that's the reason why I brought up the whole point with the way that they played this past week, because they were so balanced. You know what I mean? They were finally balanced. This was the first game this season that they were balanced. You know,
who'd they play?
The
like
Browns.
Yeah, they were against the Browns, but still, nonetheless,
right.
Whoever's in front of them, balanced.
But yeah, like,
you got to look at it.
And I get that, but like, can you replicate that against a good team?
Yeah,
where
I feel you.
That's my thing. Because like with the Chiefs, like you can see they have a pretty decent running game. Like it's nothing spectacular, but it's there.
Yeah.
Like Patrick Mahomes, I don't feel is carrying everything. I feel like he's got help in that running game.
Yeah.
And then the defense is not nearly what Josh Allen has to work with. But that's why I think the Chiefs I favor the Chiefs over the Bills, because I think you rely so much on Josh Allen. He's also banged up. Like he's also got like a bad UCL, which if that thing tears, you can forget about this season and next season. If that thing tears.
Oh yeah, especially right now because it's so late. It's getting late in the season.
It's cold. Yeah, like that. That's gonna play a part. And like, so I don't think he's regressing. I think he has to do so much that every little mistake is going to like double, because he's everything to that offense. If you take him out of that offense, that's all the offense. There's nothing else there.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to agree 100% with what you said, because I was going to talk about the lack of a running game. I mean, they drafted, Cook to basically be their edge threat, and they were just going to do the 1-2 punch with Singletary, but that hasn't happened. And then when you have a quarterback, like you said, that's over 90% of the offensive production that's happening, I mean, at some point in time, he's going to be forcing the ball. He's going to be a little bit tired. He's not going to have his legs underneath him. And to me, that's really the biggest issue right now. It's just their lack of a running game. It was an issue, for them last year. They thought they addressed it. They thought that they had the pieces in place. It hasn't worked out that way. But I think, we all know that it's about matchups, and we know that, these are professional teams. So can they do it against a good team? I mean, they basically have to figure it out by the time they get to the playoffs.
Well, the thing is, they've done it against good teams, but good teams are going to adjust. Like, they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Titans. They've beaten really good teams. It's just, as the year goes on later, like, that elbow's going to get worse. Like, that elbow's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. Like, and God forbid he has a leg injury, because if that leg injury is gone, there goes your running game. And so I'm curious to see if they do any sort of adjusting, but I don't know what you can do in season to remedy that. Like, especially you can't make mistakes against the Chiefs, you can't make mistakes against the Titans. Like, the Titans, when they play, Titans when they play when they're playing ahead, like, it's almost impossible to come back on those guys, because they'll just pound the ball every single time. With Derrick Henry.
They're gonna inch up and down the field on you all day long. I think again, just going back to they're not the best team. There's no doubt about it. But regardless, you got to get out there, and if you want to call it practice on getting your running game intact and getting things in order on what you're gonna do as far as running the football, it's a good start. What they did this past weekend. Now they got to go to Detroit, which Detroit is actually playing very good football right now. You know what I mean? And now they got to go to Detroit tomorrow and do work against Detroit. Let's see what they could do against that defense, because that defense has been playing stout also. Okay, so if they can, build that up and continue to do it there, maybe they could keep things going. Now, if they have to revert back to the old ways, that's where they're going to end up having problems, because you mentioned it, B-Guard, you mentioned it. I'm really shook about Josh Allen, because I'm gonna tell you what, if he got to get some type of Tommy John surgery or something like that, it's gonna be curtains for him for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So they got to get something figured out, and at least get it to a point where because you're looking at Miami right now, the Jets are still solid. You know what I mean? I'm not doubting the Jets yet at all. That defense is just too much. I think they got the best defense in that division. You know what I mean? Right now, I think they got the best defense playing in that division. They just didn't have the quarterback play. That's all it was to it. But right now, that's all the Bills have to continue to do. They got to continue to build on what they did this past Sunday. Let's see if they can continue to do that. If they do that, they'll be okay. But if they don't, they're going to have problems. They're going to have major problems.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's fair. Actually, it's not even a trap game, but the Lions just beat the Giants, and the Giants are operating under Brian Daboll's system, which the Bills are basically operating under a very, very similar system. They just don't have the same type of weapon that Saquon Barkley is. But I wouldn't be surprised for this to either be a close game or maybe for the Lions to pull this out, because they can really just take the same game plan and just kind of tweak it a little bit. When they're going up against the Bills. But I mean, it's just really tough right now because they weren't healthy in some of those previous games that we had a chance to talk about. And then looking ahead, it's not going to get any easier for them. And it's a tight race in that division. So, getting that number 1 seed is probably not going to happen, like B-Guard said. And then, God forbid, if they end up matching up against those Tennessee Titans. Because
I don't think the Bills don't need the number 1 seed. I think the only way the Bills have an opportunity to even get to the bowl, they can't have number 1 seed and get a bye. They can't get no time off. They got to keep playing. I think certain teams, they got to keep playing.
I kind of want to segue. We talking about a lot of who's hot, who's not, and in the NFL right now. But it's a Madden Underground podcast. I want to transition into our leagues and talk about some of the guys who's been hot, some of the guys who may not have been as hot as other guys. So let's get into it. Who's hot, who's not, and we'll start with the Xbox side because the Xbox guys they've been chirping in the chat, as you can see. Me and B-Guard are always going back and forth. Yeah. As you can see, he likes to talk about me not picking up fumbles and things like that. Things like that. It's a lot of back and forth. And then we got a lot of guys who've been putting up great performances of late, like last season, and then this season, they kind of been no-shows. Like they kind of been they took a step back, and it's been a lot of that. And I want to talk about that in general today. Like we saw a lot of guys that were dominating last season, but this season has been kind of a huge drop off. So I'm going to talk about some of those guys. Anybody that come to you guys' mind on the Xbox side, B-Guard, Philly?
I mean, look, I'll just keep it real with you, and the numbers back it up. With the exception of yourself, okay, because you've been doing. And leading your division, you've been doing a damn good job. I know you beat the Buccaneers in a matchup that was highly anticipated by Madden Underground fans and participants alike. So kudos to you. But it's been all about the AFC North and the AFC East, in my opinion. Because when you look at the teams that have qualified for the playoffs and the teams that are above 500, you up until maybe last week, the AFC North all had one loss.
It's a lot of guys in the chat dropping names like what happened to this guy, what happened to that guy, and it's like these guys are still in the league active. Yeah. Their record just doesn't make them seem like they are. You know what I mean? Like last season, we talked about when the season first started. We talked about the AFC West and how dominant that division was supposed to be in real life, and how it probably may translate in Madden. Yeah, and that hasn't been the case. The Raiders in the Xbox Pro League have not been a dominant team. Now on the PS5 side, the Chargers won a Super Bowl with Assassin, right? Right. So it kind of translated on that side, but on the Xbox side, the Chiefs aren't really winning like that right now. Raiders definitely aren't winning like that. The Broncos are pretty. The Broncos are in a mix, but they're not really. So they kind of fell off too.
They're like 5-2, right? Aren't they like 5-2?
They're 5-2.
Let me give my answer because I gotta go in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think who's hot. I would say the Broncos, and that would be Jay Hall. I think he's hot right now. Yeah, but we've seen that from Jay Hall. We've seen that. Then in the playoffs comes one and done. Like Jay Hall, he's a good player, but I'd like to see you do a little more. And I would put myself as who's not. Like I've struggled. I got my butt kicked by Space, who I should also put as who's hot. Like Vikings. Like
Vikings. Hey,
7-1.
No, he's 8-1 now. 8-1. But that dude is
that's right.
8-1. Dominant. He's been dominating. I seen him beat the living crap out of you.
Hey man, we're in a development year. I tried, I'm gonna say this. I tried to trade him Mike Evans. He offered me a really good package. We couldn't make the salary cap work. I'm rebuilding. I'm in a rebuilding stage. I got Tyler Van Dyke on my team. I'm just trying to get him as far up as I can. Hopefully, get him to be a superstar X Factor by the end of season 3. But We'll see. So we're in a rebuild. I'm not throwing game, but I've accepted reality that I'm gonna struggle. So it is what it is.
Okay. So we
Happy Thanksgiving, B-Guard.
Yep, I will see you guys. Probably Sunday maybe.
Yeah, Sunday for sure.
Sunday.
Happy Thanksgiving, Big Garb.
Yep. Peace out, guys.
But yeah, I definitely want to talk about those Falcons. The Falcons on the Xbox side. He wasn't even in the thick of things last year, but this year he's 4-3 and he's competing. And every game he's lost by either a touchdown or 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's Englewood
TV, man. He's been balling. He's been balling. Spaces looking like the favorite to come out the NFC right now with the Vikings.
With the Vikings, yeah. He's what 7-1, 8-1,
8-1, 8-1 right now.
Okay.
So,
he's to me.
I try to pay attention to Xbox as much as I can because I'm not in the Xbox league.
Yeah,
but I see that he's definitely a hot one right now.
No, he's definitely he's about to have a lot of game of the week games coming up because he's must see TV right now with the way he's playing. And like I said, he's in my opinion, he's the clear cut favorite. He looks the most dominant in the NFC. I don't see anybody in the NFC actually beating him right now. You got Honcho, who's been balling too. He's 7-1. He's been balling. And then you got Fetty, who jumped in the Xbox League as well.
Yeah.
So on the Xbox side, the NFC is kind of like you kind of feel like, okay, it could be space coming out, but you still got to keep tabs on Honcho. You still got to keep tabs on Kaluminani, even though he's a 7 seed right now, barely holding on to that 4-5. I think he's under 500 right now. So, but yeah, barely holding on to that 7 seed. And a guy you definitely have to watch is Silverback. Silverback has been a guy that I've been watching. He has the Lions, and he's made a lot of adjustments. I think he's leading the NFC in sacks right now with probably 2 players. So I don't know. I haven't watched too many of his games, but based on the numbers, he's getting to the quarterback and he's doing it without any trouble.
He's a guy that I think a lot of people, us included, I think we really need to start tuning into some of these games if they're being streamed.
Yeah,
we may want to definitely start tuning in, man, and checking out what he's doing because I mean the Lions. I mean the Lions and Madden in general, they're a good team, man.
No, they're actually a pretty solid team. And like I said, you've seen guys who went from dominating last season to completely disappearing.
Yeah,
like MP was almost to the AFC Championship, and this year he's 2-6, and it's like what is the cause of that? What is the cause of that? You've seen Buns was in the thick of things last year, and he's fallen to 2-6.
Yeah. So
it's like some of the guys have been balling. Burko is emerging as a top tier player in the AFC, 6-2 right now. C-Jack, he should have lost to me yesterday, but he won nonetheless. We recovered some fumbles yesterday to in our defense. But we should have taken 3 on certain situations. But he won nonetheless. And he's definitely emerging as one of the favorites to come out of the AFC as well. But we already know who the guy is on the AFC East. It's Diggs. Diggs is that dude. You know what I mean? We watched him. A classic matchup in the AFC Championship last year versus Dimes. And Diggs is that dude, man. Like Diggs is, I mean, not versus Dimes, but versus C-Jack. But Diggs is that dude, man. Like that's the guy that you gotta beat. Like he's been quiet this year because he's been nonchalantly just beating everybody, and then there's certain players I've seen just take the day off and not even want to play him. Just not respond, just not even respond to him. You know what I mean? So
that needs to stop.
Yeah, a guy. I saw a guy literally just take the day off. You know what I mean? So, and yes, Bill Hill we'll be doing tournaments after the holidays. So that'll be after all the holidays are over. We'll start back up with the tournaments. But yeah, we gotta. And yes, we're talking CFM right now. We're talking about our Xbox Pro League. We're about to start talking about our PS5 Pro League as well. But yeah, we definitely Diggs is that guy. He with the Buffalo Bills. He's been balling. He's a guy that you want to make sure you definitely keep an eye on. And he's definitely a favorite for sure. A favorite for sure. So. Anybody you like, Philly guy? Anybody that I didn't mention that you say, you know what, this guy's a problem. He should have been mentioned. He should have been one of the first few guys mentioned.
Well, no, I don't think I want to go that route. But I think you touched on it. I definitely think that Space deserves all the respect in the world. He's having an amazing season. He's done really well. And staying in that division, you talked about Silverback, and Silverback was getting adjusted to a new playbook. And he seems to have found a couple things that are working for him, got a good rhythm going. And he probably feels like he's a couple pieces away from making a real run in that division. But then also, you gotta talk about Dimes, and then what he's been able to do now that he's got a full season with the Bengals kind of under his control.
Yeah.
He's obviously the Bills.
Dick. Yeah, right up there with
obviously, the Bills are playing well. We don't need to talk about the impact of different patches and what it's had on some of the premier talent.
No.
But it exists.
We have to talk about that.
It does exist. But I do want to mention two other people. Inglewood, he's having success. He's doing a good job. And then actually, I'm sorry, make that three people. You yourself, Mr. James, you've done some amazing things with these Titans
right now.
Yeah, you're doing big things. Your team is getting better and stronger. You're putting it together. You're going to be a very difficult if you're able to complete your journey and go to the playoffs, get that seat at the table. You're going to be a very challenging opponent to go up against. You've looked good in the games that we've seen. But there's one person, and you guys know, it's not like I picked this guy to win on the PS5. It's not like I talk about him at all. But let's give Fetty credit. Fetty, he's first of all, he's one of the few players in the leagues that's playing Xbox and PS5, right?
Yeah.
But he was fortunate enough to get his Cowboys over here, and they have a winning record, and he's doing big things. So he jumped right back in the league, and he's having success on both consoles. So I think having experienced the difficulty of playing in Xbox and PS5 and the buttons and the symbols and the difference in styles and the way the game plays, you can't really emphasize enough what those two-way players are doing in the leagues, because that is exceptional right there. So like I said, I just think that you've mentioned all the guys with the exception of yourself. And we got a second half of the season to go. So
no, and you got to talk about Blaze. Blaze is compared in comparison to the season that he had last year. Blaze is another guy that will sneak you if you come into the game lacking. So Blaze in those Chargers, he's another one of the guys that you definitely got to talk about. He's 4-4 right now. He's in the thick of things. Definitely a top 10 seed in the AFC. Barely fighting for a spot, because Woody, he has to play his division. That's gonna be a gauntlet in itself. But I want to commend all the AFC competitors, because the AFC is a dogfight. It's not like you're gonna go over here, get over here and just dominate and things like that. TaylorMade is another guy that's emerging and getting his bearings back. He's 4-4 right now. He's on my heels in the division right now, and I thought it was going to be a landslide the way they started out. But yeah, I got to get back on my game, because TaylorMade is nipping at the bit and trying to get back into the thick of things. But I definitely gotta keep an eye out on TaylorMade, because I got 2 games against him as well. But yeah, it's a lot of players, that were dominant last year, and when the game first came out, and then a combination of players regressing. A combination of patches, and then the game playing different, certain things that were exploits not being able to be exploited anymore, certain things that were that couldn't be guarded are now able to be guarded. So now you see some guys drop off. I'm not gonna say that was what their game was just all about, but you kind of see who's still surviving with and without the patches. You know what I mean? So that says a lot. And you see other guys emerging, and that's what franchise is supposed to be. Franchise is supposed to be every season. It's going to be different teams emerging, because the power, the strength, the strength of power in the teams are going to be different based on the development, based on the regression, based on free agency. Everything is important now, But Snipes, did you update the PS5 site?
Yeah, PS5's updated.
Okay. I'm gonna switch over to PS5 now. Go over and switch over to PS5 and talk, so we can talk about PS5 a little bit, man. And you see over here in the PS5 side, man, things are You know, it's crazy over here on the PS5.
Shady has been
My
great
God,
right now.
my God.
Shady,
Shady Sticks, bro.
Great, yeah.
Shady Sticks with the coats. He has been a guy that has been difficult. I mean, difficult to stop. Like he can run, he can throw. He can run, he can throw. And the thing about that game, his game is that he has a back that is powerful and fast. So if he's like another one of those guys that if you miss him in the open field, it's gonna be a home run shot. And he's been utilizing the back. Let's talk about Jay Savvy, man. Jay Savvy has been
Broncos.
He's been dominating, and you know we got when you got guys like Sprint who you don't even see in the mix of things right now.
Not yet. Crazy. Yeah,
which is crazy. But Sprint is actually 2-4 right now. He can turn it around, but is it the patch? Is it the lack there of abilities? Because I see you got guys begging for more abilities and things like that. And you know me, Snipes. You know, it's like I'm all about parity. I'm all about competition. Yeah, I'm all about everything, and my thing is if you got guys begging, you wasn't begging when you was winning. Don't start begging when you losing. You know what I'm saying? Like beg while you winning, bro. Like beg and ask for things like you need more. I need more. Like do that when you winning. Don't do that when you start losing. So it's like because you didn't feel bad about the have-nots when they didn't have. Now the have-nots have. You can't compete. Now you're begging. You know what I mean? So and shout out to the guys that didn't beg when they didn't have it. Now they dominating and they doing things with the teams that they had because they did things the right way. They wasn't banking on abilities and all this other stuff to win. Shout out to those guys. But big shout out to Shady Sticks. Big shout out to Jay Savvy. Jay Savvy, he's not really a capper, but he's passively aggressively capping at certain things. You know what I mean? And him and Sprint, it goes back, I think, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, they've
been going back and forth for about 2 years now. Yeah. And it all started off with the invitational tournament and him beating Sprint and winning. And Sprint trying to play him for money. And he declined, like, yo, we just played for money. This was a tournament. There was a prize involved. There was money involved. I beat you. So technically, I beat you for the bread. And which was factual. It was a factual, statement. So now that he's the top dog in the division right now because he's Assassin's 5-1. Savvy's undefeated. And that division is tough. It's a tough division.
Hey, you know what, man? Let me talk about him real quick here. Let me talk about Hot Boy Keezy here real quick. Okay?
Yeah.
Because this is a guy, man, that, and big up to him, because let me explain why I say that, okay?
No, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Let me tell you why. Because some of you guys might not know, okay? First season, first game, this guy was about to bounce.
No, he got blasted. He got
blasted, and he was about to bounce. You understand? He was about to be out. Yo, he stuck through it.
Made the playoffs
last
almost won the game. Almost beat Assassin. Had Assassin not made that
won the game.
Yeah.
And look, right now, he's leading his division with the Ravens. He's 3-2, leading the division with the Ravens right now. And in the second season. And he's and still playing solid football. So it just goes to show you, what I'm saying, that if you stick, if you continue to stick with it, no matter what the situation is, even if you get blasted, and when we tell you he got blasted, okay?
Yeah.
And he's still stuck with it, you know what I'm saying? And like we said, made the playoffs, and then in the second season now, still leading his division, you know what I'm saying? Possibly going to make the playoffs and then again. So again, big shout out to Hot Boy Keezy, man. He's playing great football for these first 2 seasons thus far. And also shout out to Cal Bear also. He is dominating with those freaking Dolphins, man. He looks great with the Dolphins. He looks man.
Well, when you guys say that though, when you say that, okay, a lot of people, like you said, they're gonna get their wake up call, right? So if you're new to the league or you've been gone for a minute, you know what I'm saying, you get a wake up call, because these cats, like you said, B. James, don't let them catch you slipping. But I think it's a combination of everything that you talked about, because some of the names you guys have been saying, we've seen them have success. We talked about it. Nobody is disrespecting Assassin because he's having success and he won the bowl and he's doing well. It's not about that. It's about, this is the second season. Yes, there have been some patches in the game, but people also have different schedules than they had in the first season. Yeah. And that cannot be emphasized enough, because some people had a little bit of a cupcake schedule, you know what I'm saying? And they had good schemes, they had talent, they had patches working in their favor, and then it shifted. The patch shifted. Yeah. And the schedule shifted. Yeah. And the talent shifted. Yeah. And like you said, B. James, that's what CFM is supposed to be about. But then you also have another group of guys, and we're seeing that, especially on the PS5 side, where people's schemes are starting to come together. They're learning from their losses, and they're starting to put it together, and they're like, okay, I need this piece, I need that piece, and they're starting to manage their money. They're starting to make some moves.
That's the difference, Philly guy. You just hit it right on the nose. You got guys doing a better job of managing their teams. You have like in years past, Assassin was one of those guys that after that first season, his team was in shambles because he wasn't aggressively re-signing. He wasn't aggressive in free agency. I think this is the first year that I feel Assassin's team is better in the second season than it was in the first season. So that in itself could be scary, because he did a lot with what he had, but for him to be able to add more pieces like OBJ and different players like that to his receiving core makes him an even more powerful threat in the AFC with his passing game.
Yeah. That consistency, like to me, when we talk about those key free agents and we talk about those abilities, like looking at your team, for example, B. James, once you got talent,
it was literally
your scheme just
it was literally. I want to thank B-Guard for letting go Levante David. Levante David was the game changer, because he's a player who he can get film study. And that was like me. If I know what you're doing, then I know what to call. And a lot of people run the same play because that's what they do. They run the same play and they do little high routes and things like that. So if you're going to run that same play, now I know what adjustments you're going to make. I know what to take away, and I know what to cover now. So like those are things that people have to implement also. And if you have a player that is 25 and under and you're getting a lot of stats with those guys, chances are he's gonna get a breakout game. I see a lot of guys that are putting focus on players that are over 25, but it's the players that are 25 and under. Sometimes if a guy's just balling out, he may get a breakout game even if he's older. But the 25 and under guys, they're gonna get breakout games extremely fast. So this is just my tip to you guys that are looking to figure out how to develop certain guys and certain players. Utilize those younger guys that are star development players, because those guys will get breakout games faster than most of the other guys that you guys are probably utilizing. Just a helpful tip. And also those of you guys that call yourselves tanking are not. It's a rebuild season. The best thing, EA said it last year, that they wanted to eliminate that specific concept, right, Philly? They wanted to eliminate that specific concept in franchise mode, was guys tanking and hoarding the best players during the offseason. But what happens is, with the regression in the game and you being under 500 and your players not making Pro Bowls and your guys getting older, you might have a guy that's a superstar this season and he's you think we not really winning. We're gonna call it. We're gonna dog it for this season, and then next season we'll get back to it. Schedule be softer. We have a better chance at winning. There's a chance that guy may fall off because he doesn't make the Pro Bowl, and that's how the superstar and X factors are determined every year. Not in the league every year. I'm saying at the beginning of the year, when they determine who's going to have superstar and X factor ability, they start with the Pro Bowlers first. Then they go by the stats and league leaders and things like that. So same rules apply during franchise mode. So if your guy is not a top tier guy leading in a particular bracket or even hitting all his team goals, there's a potential that he may regress in development. So if you guys, for those of you that are tanking, make sure that you are at least hitting those goals with those players to prevent that regression from happening. And I know, guys, when we get to that point of the season, when that regression hits, and we've spoken with EA on numerous occasions about regression because guys wanted a little bit more clarity in how it worked. Okay, so this is how it works. You have the guys that are going to get their awards for once we get to that Super Bowl phase, right? So you get to the Super Bowl and everybody gets their awards. You know who made the Pro Bowl. You know who got the awards. So the guys that underperform will regress. The guys that overperform will get their development traits upgraded, right? So in years past, most guys hit that advanced button and go on to the next phase. But for some reason, there's another regression phase. So what you have to do, this is not for just our league, but anybody out there with another league and they're wondering why guys are regressing twice or and things like that. Once you advance to the Super Bowl, you can have a regression. You can have your regression on, but you must turn it off before you advance from the Super Bowl. So Snipes, I know you commentate a lot of leagues. You might want to get that out there to the people so that they know to turn that regression off after the Super Bowl. All the regression that's supposed to happen is going to happen by the time you get to the Super Bowl. Okay. Only players that are going to be affected after the Super Bowl are players that are either retiring or players that are over 30. So those are the only players that are going to be impacted by that, and that's just because it's age regression. You know what I mean? Those are things that you need to know, and everybody needs to know now. So that I hope that is clear. So when it happens, everybody is not like, oh well, why did this guy? I'm like, I just explained it to you. You guys can revert back to this video. But But also I want to transition over to the NFC side of things in PS5 because the NFC side. It's a lot of dogs over there. It's a lot of competitive players over there. You got who that leading the conference right now. 5-1. He's the number 1 seed. You got
he just got me 34-7.
Oh,
he was tough too. He was tough.
Oh yeah. No, he's tough with them Saints, and he's a Saints fan. So it's a different passion when you're playing with a team that you love. Yeah. You got Big Show, a California native playing with the LA Rams. And he's dominant right now. He's 5-1. I think the only person he lost to was either Dimes or I'm not sure who he lost to. I think it was Dimes. But then you got Just Beatdown, 4-1 right now, who was a player that wasn't in the thick of things last year. This time last year, he was like 0-3 or 0-4 or something like that, right?
Go right back to what Philly was talking about.
Yeah, guys bouncing back, having a good off season, doing what they need to do, and making the moves that need to be made to be competitive the following season. She's smart, you know what I mean? Like that's another guy that was struggling last year, but this year I think he's actually leading the NFC East right now. So that says a lot that he had a solid off season, did what he needed to do, added some players, got some pieces, and now he's competitive. He's a competitive player in that division and conference.
Now, before you continue, let me ask you a question. You tell me your opinion on it. You know, you or Philly could both chime into it because obviously we know how dominant that Fetty was in the first season. With the, in that NFC East and in the conference in general, he was dominant there. Right now, all of a sudden you see the Giants there, and then you see you see the Fetty at the number 6 seed with Dallas at 3-3. So. Does it have something to do once again with with something with a patch or is it the fact now that he jumped into the Xbox side as well too, so he's kind of seeing both realms of things, you know what I'm saying, and it's it could be deviating from his game a little bit from the PS side. I'm just curious to know what you guys think it might be.
I think Fetty had a lot of camera time last season, and the thing about it is that sometimes when you get a lot of camera time, other people watch certain games. Like we watched Fetty lose to Jelly. Everybody watched Fetty lose to Jelly. Yeah. So if Fetty beat you last year and you watched that game, you knew what to implement into your game from Jelly's game. And a lot of people are doing what Jelly did to him, which was double the receiver, like double his go-to guy and make him make a play on with another guy. So he's I guess he's gonna have to adjust or play run first and force him to make a read and things like that. But he's still, like I said, he's still in the thick of things. He's still in the playoff hunt. He's not out of it, but he's just not at all. Not the number 1 seed. When you think about having an undefeated regular season
Yeah.
You think, and then following seasons 3-3, it makes you wonder, like, dang, what happened? But
yeah.
I get that. Another guy that's in the thick of things is Dime. Dime's on the outside looking into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right now.
8th seed right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's crazy. That's crazy. So it's gonna be tough. He's probably gonna have a win over the Washington, because Washington's out of town for Thanksgiving. They gave him a win, so that'll put him at 4-2. So that'll probably move him up a little bit, but that'll probably put him at the 6th seed, the 6th or the 7th seed. But it's gonna be interesting to see how it all pans out. You got Big Duke still in the thick of things, and then you also got Bronco. Bronco was a player that snuck into the playoffs last year, had a great season, and you can't count him out either, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see who emerges and who falls to the wayside as the season progresses, and as we approach the halfway mark in PS5.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, I mean, we've all talked about who's dominating, and then the first patch will come out, and somebody else is dominating. But in CFM, one of the great things is you don't only just have to worry about what patch and whose scheme ends up becoming dominant because of it, or less dominant, but you also get to enjoy, like B said, you talked about the screen time, you talked about the lab work that you put in, like, man, what is he running? Oh, well, why isn't my stuff working? Like, everybody has a different learning curve and a different learning style. And when you get a chance to sit down, and we got the holidays coming up, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and we know Christmas and New Year's isn't that far behind. You get a chance to sit down in the lab, and you get a chance to look at what these cats are doing, whether you winning or losing. You get to add that to your game plan. A lot of people may not see you getting progressively better, right? But you know it yourself. Like, hey, this time last year, I had 20 interceptions, but I got 5. And then last year my stats was this, and I was doing that. You know what I mean? The play calling gets a little bit better, and then you've seen things over and over, and you start, your user starts getting better. All of those things, they definitely play a factor. And again, we're getting ready to get into that second half of the season for Xbox. We're getting ready to get into the second quarter for PS5, and a lot of things could change. But I just think it's just great for the league overall. I think that's what you want to see. You want to see some new blood. You want to see some new names. You want to see people, have to continue to fight to get to the playoffs. And I think that I don't want to put it all on EA. I'm gonna put it on the players. But I think that the players have done a good job of elevating their game, every season, every off season, just to get better, so that they can get an opportunity, to make that tournament, and not just win some bread, but to make a name for themselves.
Yeah,
definitely. And we also want to shout out Dez, man. Dez came through here with the Strictly Baller League, and won one of our fast money tournaments, and now he's an MCS champion. So like I said, we was throwing little tournaments, and we had a guy come through here, dominate, win a tournament, and go on to win the MCS championship. And so that lets you know that when we put on these tournaments, there are quality players coming through here playing in these tournaments. So make sure you participate and get your reps in, because you get to see some of the best guys in the world.
Yes, sir.
Come through here and compete in these tournaments. So big shout out to Dez. Big shout out to the Strictly Ballers crew, and shout out to his crew as well. And hopefully when we throw our tournaments after the holidays, he'll come back in and jump in some of them, and you guys will get an opportunity to compete against them. As well. So in closing, we had Black Phoenix come through here and try to, not try to, but actually come in and commentate with us on a few games and things like that. And I said, it's kind of like a test run, see how he did.
I didn't like him at all.
I know. I heard you say you didn't like him.
And I told him to his face too. But
so but I want to shout him out. We actually made it official. He's going to be actually part of the Madden Underground commentary team. So he's with us now. He'll be commentating on some of the game of the weeks, paired with either Snipes or Philly Guy, whichever one is available at the time. So, So we added him. He's in just in some small, not small news, kind of big news. It's a big deal, He's actually one of the guys that almost qualified for the MCS tournament too. He had a good run in the tournament, so his perspective is coming from an elite mindset, Yeah. And the commentary, as you guys see, everybody loves the combination of him joining Philly Guy or Snipes on the ones and twos, and they doing their thing together. It had me where I don't even want to be on there no more. They make me feel sorry at the commentary game because they be cooking so good in the kitchen. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit at the table and eat with the rest of y'all, So
don't believe that. Don't believe that. You on the ones and twos. And I'll say this. Again, congratulations to Black Phoenix. He's always been a part of Madden Underground, as a player. And now we get to see his vocal skills. Obviously, the biggest knock against him, we'll get a chance to see that this weekend, is that he's a Michigan Wolverine fan. We know that they're playing Ohio State.
I knew that was coming.
But we just hope that when Ohio State smacks them Wolverines around, that he will still have the mental capacity to be able, and unbiasedly so, call these games. And you know what, Brian James? Let's be real, okay? You're on the ones and twos because it's a good chance that we're going to be commentating on one of your games, okay? So we appreciate you taking the effort, to still be the man behind the curtain, because we also know that you're probably not going to be able to commentate because, we're going to be talking about you, in games against
after how bad Snipes ran that replay 1,000 times after I didn't get that fumble. You know what I mean? I don't even want to play in nothing prime time anymore. Like I get it now. Like I've never played in the prime time game. I didn't know the pressure that comes with it. I don't know the anxiety that comes with it.
And what game was that? Who did you lose to? Because I lost shout out to that dude. BKP. That's right.
BKP is actually having a great year too. He's actually having a great year.
Yeah. So
he's like, AFC North. That whole division is crazy. So, but yeah, shout out to them. But yeah, man, I get it now, guys. I know the anxiety that comes with playing on a game of the week. You got to stream, and all the people are looking, and Snipes is saying, "Oh, he's swinging at the wind." It is like, it hurts. It hurts your heart. You know what I'm saying? It's heartbreaking. So I get it.
Because you were from Compton, and Boys in the Hood was about Compton. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the parallels and the way that they just put it together. I mean, it was so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping they were going to make a GIF of the fumble, the same way, we wanted to come up with a GIF for Sprint spiking a controller.
Actually, we actually do have a GIF of that, and I will be.
Fantastic.
I'm working on getting that. Put in the chat.
Make sure you send it to me too, please.
Yeah, I get it.
Those name, image, and likeness.
Yeah. We got to figure something out with that, but we go figure out where we can.
Right. Yeah. Something out with that. Yeah.
We got to figure something out with that. But if he gives us the okay to do it, we're definitely putting that in the chat. So definitely need that in the chat. But we thank you all for tuning in. Yeah. We'll be back Sunday, in between the late games and the night game. Talk a little football, talk about whatever happened on that day, and talk a little bit of Madden as well. But we'll see you guys Sunday. Hope you guys all have a very, very safe and wonderful Thanksgiving tomorrow. We all have a lot to be thankful for. Even if you don't have much, be thankful for what you have, because it can be way worse, So, so shout out to everybody. I hope everybody has a blessed and safe Thanksgiving with your family. Enjoy your family, man. I got guys bugging me about advance, and I'm like, tomorrow nobody's playing anyway, bro. Like, what are you? If you're playing, like, what type of neglect are you putting your family through right now?
It's not even that. Like, look, you got to be real.
Dude's like, I've been waiting for this off day, football, Madden, food. I'm playing Madden, bro.
That's what I'm talking about. Your teams might not be playing. You know what I'm saying? You got that itis.
Yeah. So we advance would be the night, but
thank you.
Make sure your family is good too, bro. So we'll see you guys on Sunday, and we thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to Black Phoenix in the chat. He called you talking about those bum Buckeyes. And we'll see you guys then, man. Be sure to hit that like, follow, subscribe button wherever you may be tuning in from, and we greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. I'm trying to get out of here. I'm looking for the exit. All right, here we go.